bass in the Misfits for 33 years. I like it.
So you're known as the founders of horror punk. Were you the first people to dub that term?
I don't know if we're actually the founders of horror punk. We do play punk and we are about horror, so I guess the name sticks. I think that we're much more diversified than that. A lot of people think that you know, we're just one genre, and we're not. We do rockabilly, we do thrash, we do speed metal, we do ballads, we do it all. What stood out about our version of that style of music was that we had the imagery to go with it. So we were the ground zero for the New York punk scene.
And as things progressed, Earth AD was a straight out hardcore record.
Earth AD was the Rosetta Stone of music as we know it today. You know, it's funny, we put out 3 albums in 7 years. Static Age being probably one of the most advanced records of its time, coming out in 1978 and never released. And then Walk Among Us was a classic Misfit album. You know, it personified the band. It gave us the sound to go with the image. But Earth AD was totally something else. It definitely changed the way that we view the world. You know, things that are that energetic usually kind of go into a chaotic mode, and so did we. You know, we parted ways. Glenn went one way, we went the other way, and you know, I think the world was better for that.
I don't know. Well, tell me about the new Misfits.
Yeah, well, for those of you who don't know Uncle Des, his father was a jazz musician. Des is second generation. He's very, very talented. You know, he's really easy to work with, and I think that's really what makes things grow. And I think that's what happened here. It took me about 10 years to really put this together the way I wanted. The thing is, the Misfits are around for, you know, for the long haul, and you know, it comes to a point in the road where you just really can't deal with it. You know, we're just moving on, nice and slow and steady. You know, we're in no rush to be great. This is Jerry Only of the Misfits, and you're watching Absolute Underground TV.
Bastard fucking up the bass.
Mike Jack on guitar.
Drew on drums.
Rob Swiller on vocals. We're Foquored.
It starts off as a bunch of songs I'd written in the past that were supposed to be for other projects, and they were never recorded. And I wanted to hear these songs on my house stereo. So I hired these guys. I asked Drew, he said yes. Rob, he was all about it. Mr. Bastard said sure. So we took all my old music and we came up with what we have to date. But the best thing about it is now we're writing songs together and we're forming our own little sound, so it's rather interesting. That name Foquored, well, I've had that in the back of my head for about the last 5 years, and I guess I was playing in Lummox for a while, and we'd written a second album that was never released, and it was all drunk rock shit. And today that album still hasn't been released, so I took a handful of those songs and wanted to create a band for just drinking, like drunk rock music. So Foquored was quite suitable for that. And and on the same note, the word Foquored just looks neat. I liked it.
This song's called Drink, Drink, Drunk. Edmonton kicks ass. There's lots of good shit. Some bright lights, fun dance.
Yeah, we got a ton of venues going on right now. It's pretty good. There are probably 8 to 10, 18 plus places to play. And all ages shows have actually made it back in the last little while, which is just wicked. So yeah, there's no shortage of stuff to do for us.
I play in this band, that band, and the other band. And Rich plays in...
Yeah, another one as well. 2.
No, seriously, you play in...
I play in Corroded as well.
Yeah.
It's, yeah, different styles, the other end of the spectrum, I guess.
I play in a thrash metal band, skate thrash, called Snapback Gnarler. And sometimes part-time with Lummox, and part-time with Dayglow sometimes. And Drew here?
Yeah, I play in a bunch of others, like Nervous Wreck, which is like a 77 style band. The Purrs, which I'm in with this guy, which is just straight punk kind of stuff, and who am I forgetting? Soul City Locals.
Yeah.
I don't know, way too many to remember.
I just play with myself and these guys, and part of the Lummox Edmonton division. The new Foquored album will be out on Beer Belly Records in like 2 or 3 months, hopefully, and it should kick ass. And all the other bands do, like Let's Dance and Tourette's from Calgary, and AWT's new shit's gonna be on there, and it's a bunch of fucking killer shit.
Foquored! And you're watching Absolute Underground TV.
Nice. Yeah!
Press button. Fucking hot wax, alright.
Fucking cocksucker, motherfucking bitch! That thing's pretty fucking funny, don't you faggot! Fuck! Go steal this ball, guys! Crash like cocksucker, go! This motherfucker spin! Spin!
Hi, I'm Adam with Absolute Underground TV, and we're here with Ryan Nicolson from Plotdigger Films. You make scary movies, but tell us about your humble beginnings owning a video store here in Victoria.
Yeah, absolutely. It was back in about 93, I think, we started Front Row Video in Fernwood. It was mostly known for being the place to go for the sick, sleazy, horror, cult, underground stuff. Actually, we had a behind-the-counter binder, which people would say, oh, can I see the behind-the-counter stuff? It's just all the stuff the film classification guys would want to take from us. We weren't allowed to distribute it or rent it. So yeah, that book became notorious. We had a lot of stuff. Jim Van Beber's like My Sweet Satan and York Bootgerites, his Necromantic, and all those nasty ones. You know, it was like we had pretty much everything. That's what we became notorious for. But then that sort of my part in that ended, I guess, about 95. I left Victoria and headed back east to Montreal to start doing effects. I had been doing effects. Even in my video store, I had my basement was my effects lab in Fernwood. So you could see me hauling dead bodies out of there from time to time at 5 in the morning, still dark, you know.
You mean not real dead bodies?
Well, hey, what you don't know won't hurt you, you know.
So then you went on to work Flesh and Fantasy. Was that in Montreal or that was in Vancouver?
That was in Vancouver, yeah. I was a freelance makeup artist, makeup effects artist through Montreal. I did a bit of work in Toronto, and then I came back to Vancouver. I started working for Steve Johnson, who was a big effects guy out of Los Angeles. I would work for him. And then eventually I was like, I want to do my own thing. And so I opened up Flesh and Fantasy, and we did Final Destination was what was my first big movie. Scary Movie, the Wayans brothers, I did that one. And then I just started doing lots of television. And eventually, the whole time I wanted to make my own movies though. So I kind of just went, I did these, you know, steps that you pretty much have to do, you know, to get up to that point where you can write and direct your own stuff. I took it. I went in by becoming an effects technician. That helped me out.
And now your company is Plotdigger Films.
Yeah, Plotdigger Films was I guess it was founded even before Flesh and Fantasy, because my partner in doing music and stuff, Patrick Coble, and I, we made some pretty sick stuff back in the early 90s. And so, it was shot on video, you know, fake snuff film type stuff. And yeah, so, you know, Plotdigger Films has been around for a long time, but our first official releases was probably about 2003, 2004. And we, you know, it's since grown into almost a full-time gig. And I teach as well at New Image College of Fine Arts. That body you see there is from one of our movies, and so we offer tons of courses on effects and stuff. So I try to teach people what I've learned and pass on, you know, any knowledge I have to students that want to learn this.
So what was Plotdigger's first big film that sort of got the most recognition and sort of fan base?
I think my first one, Torched, it was called Torched. It was actually it wasn't a feature-length film. I think it was about 45 minutes long. It was on the internet. It was a fairly big success in the underground circuits for nasty violence and really sick stuff. And from Torch, I went on to do Live Feed. Live Feed got worldwide distribution on DVD. Yeah, it was everywhere. And that was a big one for us. And that lent us, you know, the ability to do Gutter Balls, and which became a cult hit, as well as our one coming out, Hanger. And then we have another one coming out called Star Vehicle. So, you know, we just keep going. I want to really try to do one movie a year now, or two if I can. So.
Who likes the sick shit the most?
Germany. Yeah.
Big surprise.
Yeah, big in Germany, big in France. Our movies have always sold there first. I always get deals with Germany and France and in Sweden, Norway, Japan, and all my movies have gotten North American deals as well, but it's usually a little bit later. We just want to bring some cool stuff, you know, to Victoria, to wherever, and show people that you can do this. I mean, if you're interested in makeup effects or whatever, I mean, you just got to go out, get some training, and then go kick some ass. It's that simple. You're watching Absolute Underground TV, motherfuckers. Stay tuned.
Where are we going?
We are headed up to your boat, right? And we're gonna go and pick up Ed and then see if we can scare up some some ghosts. We're on the road. We're headed to Ladysmith. What's the name of that boat again?
The Taconet, USS Taconet.
It's the radioactive
speed trap
murder ghost boat, right?
Yeah.
You said some orbs or something that showed up in some of the photos.
My sister took pictures in there, and you know, it's some interesting things like various compartments or rooms would suddenly get really cold, and she'd get really freaked out and had to leave, and she won't go on the boat anymore.
I don't know what's going on, but my dad wanted me to go check it out.
Have you heard of any of the weird happenings on this boat at all that we're going to? If anything strange happened on it when people are not around or anything?
No, actually it's, I've never seen anyone else on it other than the guy that owns it.
Yeah.
But then, you never know what happens when the sun goes down.
Yeah, that's right. Where was the murder committed? You know, it was like back here somewhere?
I think it was right here.
Right there, right?
Yeah.
The owner of the vessel had owed his friend a lot of money, and he was really deep in debt. It was like $50,000 or something. And his friend really needed the money, and the owner of the boat at the time, he says, "I got nothing." He says, "I have nothing. All I have is this boat." He says, "You can take it." And his buddy, really, really upset, pulled out a gun and shot him in the head. He killed him. And then he went to his car, sat in his car for a couple hours, feeling real guilty, and then shot himself in the head.
The story that Rick told me about the guy being murdered, that's a good candidate for a haunting. Our next step is to come back with a team with proper equipment to take a proper environmental reading of the boat, of the area. And after we get all the environmental readings in place, bookmark and everything, then we can go in at night where the hauntings are said to happen the most.
You know, I assume that there was something going on with these people if they're living down in these rugged up boats all tied together, half sunk like that one over there. Someone's living in it, you know? Maybe they're drinking some cheap wine or something. That's what's causing
some of
this.
these guys all interested in this boat, wanted to poke around, but obviously we got it locked up.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about some of the local people where some of these myths are coming from?
We should talk to everyone because everyone might have something new to add to the story.
Some of the stories that we're hearing are coming from these people via Rick's parents.
And I would say we should do it first and then talk to them second, because that way we have nothing to come in with. We're totally fresh.
What kind of pre-work have we got to do now? We've got to assemble some equipment, I assume, and call a few people?
Equipment, do some research, get some things in writing, especially of the history that's known. If we do manage to bring in sensitives or psychics, they can give us their impressions and we have information to back it up with. And we don't tell them anything of the location, we bring them in blind.
All right, well, let's rock that. Thanks, Ed.
Let's get drunk, man.
I'm the Credden from the Dayglow Abortions. Cheers.
Willie Jack, bass player. And
Jesus rock and roll Bonehead!
All right, there we go, Mr. Bonehead.
So how many years have the Dayglows been rocking?
Well, we grew up with Black Sabbath and shit like that in the 70s, you know? I mean, it was Sabbath, Zeppelin, that kind of stuff. And then for me, pretty well, when Ozzy left Sabbath, I got sour with rock and roll and figured it was all spandex and started to get a bit too much makeup going on in the rock and roll, and so I started listening to other stuff, alternative things, and eventually I found my way into punk rock. And never really was much of a punker though. It's more, I don't know what the Dayglows are. We're sort of like some mutant 70s metal / punk or something like that, I guess. Some hybrid, you want to genreify it.
Would you say you were crossover before the word even existed?
Yes. Well, Bonehead's been a cross-dresser for most of his life, actually. Most people don't know this, but before he was in the band, he was a flaming homosexual.
Yeah, I mean, we used to tour with DRI and stuff, so it would be quite the crossover. That whole came around the same time we all came around S&P and DRI.
I think this is roughly the same sort of idea there anyway. More metal than punk almost in a way.
that stuff seems to have come back around. We tend to like play with a lot of time with our buddies Dr. No and the Accused, stuff like that, like some classic crossover stuff there, so it's kind of still going, you know?
Yeah, John, don't fall like that. We blast it all over the ground. Yeah, we blast it all over the ground.
The very first release, the rare one, Out of the Womb, was that a totally
independent?
Was it DIY?
Yeah. We recorded that at a little studio in Victoria there, Legacy Stand, and coughed up the dough for it ourselves. I think they printed about 1,100 of them or something like that. We ended up with at the end of it all, and that was fun. We had that vinyl without the covers for a while in our buddy's record store, Scott Henderson's record store there down in Government Street. Was sitting in there taking like Captain and Tennille and fucking. I remember there's a bunch of good ones in there. The Captain and Tennille is one of the good ones. And it's like Out of My Womb. You know, sort of nice picture in the cover. Barry Manilow, Out of My Womb.
Kate Tell's record.
What did you do with them?
It was just
Barry Manilow gave birth to puppies or something like that.
You flipped them inside out or something.
No, we just put Elmer's glue and put the
but some of them just went out handwritten.
Yeah,
like
sometimes we just mark him turned around like John Travolta record and Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah, only a few of them went out.
That'd be a good one to get.
Yeah, I believe it was a few made like that.
Yeah, then Jesus Christ too, and at that time people there wasn't even swearing on other records or anything like that. Really, it was things were still pretty purist back in those days, and man, they were not impressed with our record. Holy fuck! So funny that this lesbian, what do they call it? Fucked up lesbians against guys or something like that. This militia group fucking kicked in the windows of a fucking A&B Sound, I think, or no, it was one of the other record stores. Anyway, kicked in the window and smashed it because there were some of our records on display in there, and they were furious. I got jumped by a bunch of fucking hippie broads at fucking Camosun College too when I was going to school there one day. They came at me. There he is. This one lady said she wanted to bury me up to my neck and mow my head off with a lawnmower. I was going, my God, you must be a Christian or something to have that kind of fucking feelings in you.
And it was the next album too that caused some controversy. How did you just redid the record again and then just what's that?
Well, that would have been the Here to Dig One of Them All that you're talking about. I think that.
No, the Fetus of Fetus is the same.
Well, Fetus of Fetus is half of it's. When we got a record deal, they sort of said, it's kind of short, and so we used Out of the Womb for essentially side one, and then did another set of recording in Legacy again, and that was side two. So there's two separate groups of things, like they're a year and a half apart or something like that. I think a year apart. Anyway, the recordings. But then it made it to be quite a reasonable, fairly long record, really, probably 40 minutes long or something. which is pretty long. Shitload of songs on it.
Considering they're all 2 minutes long or whatever, it's a lot of songs.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Back when everybody else was putting out 5 minute, 7 minute long songs.
Yeah, that was a fucking motherfucking full.
Bonehead, tell us how the name, how you got the name again, the story.
I think that's really what Cretton knows more about that. But,
It's a case of spray paint. We got this other band I was in, the Sick Fucks, got given a case of spray paint when we played at the Smiling Buddha. It was supposed to be free publicity for a year, the guy says, something like that. He goes, here's your free publicity, kid. Knock yourselves out. And got this case of Dayglow brand spray paint, which is whatever, the guy that invented the shit. And we took it back home, spray painted everything in town, fucking fluorescent orange. Then on the last little bits of the can there, that band had broken up, and me and Bonehead were sitting there humming and hawing about what we were going to call the band that we were going to make up to play the gig that we already had. Because remember that? The Sick Fucks had a gig, so we snuck the Dayglows in on it. Practiced these songs in my parents' basement. We go, we are going to be the Dayglow from the spray paint, whatever the first word in the newspaper is. Like if it's a car crash, we're going to be the Dayglow car crash or whatever. But it was the day the fucking morning we walked from my place over to Bonehead's to get the paper there. We'll go to Bonehead's place and look at it, and it's just fucking unmotherfucking believable, Abortion all over the huge abortion. Every mortgage are busted for abortions, and the headlines and shit like that. So we were like, obviously this is a sign from the fucking sky or something like that, whatever. And that was a good one. Fucking laughed. People were nuts.
Was given birth.
Yeah.
You're watching AUTV. This is Most Up Love.